You gotta wake up to a world that's real. You gotta rise up and make it feel. Life in full measure is more than just pleasure. Wake up and live.
Hello and welcome. Today is Tuesday, November the 11th, 2014. This is Paul Sandhu coming to you with an economic news update. And this is an article that I came across on Zero Hedge yesterday. Is titled Petrodollar Panic. China signs currency swap deal with Qatar and Canada. Qatar, of course, is one of the major gas producers in the Middle East, and it is a major U.S. ally. So this story, what it shows us is that it is the allies of the U.S. now that are fast and furiously turning away from the petrodollar. As I reported in one of my earlier reports last month, I believe, or maybe in September, that London had already started trading yuan bonds. Okay, so London had already set itself as a hub for trading renminbi, which is the Chinese yuan currency. And now this Canadian Prime Minister, I'm in Canada, I'm in Toronto, and he was down in China, and he signed some major deals with the Chinese to make Toronto, which is the biggest city in Canada, it's the financial hub of Canada, it's like the New York of Canada. Like Wall Street, we have a street here called Bay Street, where most of the financial transactions take place. But people do not know Canada plays a very, very major role. It's nowhere near the size of, let's say, U.S. or U.K., but still it's very big in the financial world, and our trade dealings with China are humongous. So what it has happened is that the Canadian Prime Minister has signed a deal with the Chinese leader, and they are going to set up Toronto as a hub for yuan swap facility for North America. Toronto has been, by the way, one of the biggest beneficiaries of Chinese investments anywhere in the world. Okay, over the past 10 years or 15 years, 10 years or so in particular, there have been more condo towers that have been constructed in downtown Toronto than in the rest of North America combined. Yes, that is correct. And the rest of North America combined, more than in Chicago, New York, LA, Miami, Dallas, all these places put together. That's how much Chinese money has come in here, and now there's going to be more coming in, and that is, of course, the reason why the Canadian Prime Minister was down in Beijing signing all these deals. But what that means is that the world is fast and furiously turning away from the US dollar as a world reserve currency, and this deal with Qatar shows us that it is even the OPEC and the petroleum producers that are also turning away from the petrodollar. So these things were reported. Jim Billy on one of my shows back in, I believe, in July, he had already mentioned that Toronto would be set up as a hub for renminbi trading for North America because it wouldn't be allowed to be set up in New York. And that does make sense. If the America, which claims to have the world reserve currency, and it does, if they set up a yuan swap facility in New York, what they are signaling to the world is that they don't believe in their own currency. And that, of course, would be a big no-no, politically speaking. Okay, although I'm sure they're going to use this facility in Toronto to do exactly what they know they must do, because they know that the dollar is on the way out, that they will also take advantage of doing these swaps with China underhandedly, which means that they will be stabbing their own currency in the back. But the leaders of any nation have no problem ever backstabbing their own people. No, history teaches us that. They're very good at that. They're very good at backstabbing each other and backstabbing their own citizens. And they don't look for the benefit of the citizen. They only look for what benefits them, those who are in power. So this story, which is a Zero Hedge, says petrodollar panic. China signs currency swap deal with Qatar and Canada. And here I'll read a paragraph from it. The march of global de-dollarization continues. I reported this back in the spring that this term de-dollarization has been coined, and now you're seeing it everywhere. The march of global de-dollarization continues. In the last few days, China has signed direct currency agreements with Canada, becoming North America's first offshore renminbi hub, which CBC reports analysts suggest could double, maybe even triple the level of Canadian trade between Canada and China. So, of course, no wonder Stephen Harper, our Prime Minister, was down there in Beijing, with his eyes all big and smiles on his face, signing all these deals, because he knows which way our bread is buttered. And by the way, the Canadian economy would have been in the toilet 10 years ago, 15 years ago, if it wasn't for all the Chinese money that has come in here. It is enormous on a scale that I think Canada has benefited more than any country in the world, including the US, from Chinese investment. That's how much money is here from China. Okay, between Canada and China, impacting the need for dollars. But that is not the world's week's biggest petrodollar precariousness news. As the Examiner reports, a new chink in the petrodollar system was forged as China signed an agreement with Qatar to begin direct currency swaps between the two nations using the yuan, and establishing the foundation for a new direct trade with the OPEC nation in the very heart of the petrodollar system. As Simon Black reports, is happening with increasing speed and frequency, and that's what we said, that it is going to become a cascade at some point in time. It's getting there. I think 2015 it's going to be openly. Russia has announced it. Everybody's now, they are going to openly flaunt the petrodollar and bypass it, and also the US dollar. So as we reported for years now, that the days of the dollar as the world reserve currency and the petrodollar system are numbered, looks like those days are getting shorter by the minute. Thank you for listening. This is Paul Sandhu.
Back again, I'm glad to see. Got another chance to be forgiven and freed from sin. But you say no, I'll wait a while, and that just makes the devil smile, 'cause he knows that's all he needs to win. He knows that he can seal your fate if he can make you hesitate. If you could take a trip to hell, you'd see how this has worked so well on others. People just like you who thought that they had time and they'd soon make up their mind to repent. Their chance came and went. Tomorrow is Satan's fate. He only wants to make you wait. Now's the accepted time. The Holy Spirit cries. Emotions making you delay are only Satan's lies. There's never been any less time before Christ is knocking at the door. Unlatch the bolt, let him come inside and throw away your foolish pride. You just can't lose. But if you choose to say perhaps some other day, you just push the Lord away and pick your friend. He'll burn you in the end. Two voices calling out to you, and which one are you listening to? If you'd only take a glance, you'd see this might be your last chance.